mostly sunny skies expected with an afternoon high around 85. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 58. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return. We'll see a high around 77. I'm meteorologist Kyle Kleck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
You've seen them come and go. Franchise testosterone clinics that pop up and then whoosh, they're gone. These franchise clinics quickly find out it's not easy to compete with Limitless Male. Limitless is locally owned and operated with a flawless protocol that has elevated them to be the best in men's testosterone replacement and sexual performance. By adding GLP-1s, our patients are losing weight in a healthy way. To feel your optimal best, schedule a free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
In today's digital landscape, the security of your business is non-negotiable. That's why you need better cybersecurity solutions. At Hamilton, we make it our business to protect your network, data, and digital assets with the latest in cybersecurity technology. Our dedicated team of experts has the technology in place to protect what matters most to you and your business. Stay ahead of cyber threats with better cybersecurity protection. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Riddle's Jewelry is excited to be celebrating 65 years. 65 years of so many incredible memories celebrating with each of your special moments. In celebration of the 65th Riddle's Jewelry anniversary, we will be offering up to 40% off all engagement rings and all diamond fashion jewelry. The excitement doesn't stop there. Riddle's Jewelry is also offering 18 months, 0% interest and $0 down financing on all qualifying purchases. Riddle's Jewelry has always been known for incredible customer service, one of the largest selections of engagement rings, and don't forget about the on-site jeweler. Come celebrate with us at Riddle's Jewelry, your one-stop diamond shop with exclusive Levian jewelry, Pandora Charm jewelry, and more. All at Riddle's inside Gateway Mall.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist. This time he beats the kicker and one more. DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into the Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arndt on the ones and twos. As always, we got NFL on the FM airwaves. So if you guys want to join in, use the streams, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, channel 961. If you got Allo cable. And again, you can also comment through the Starter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. Nebraska football is 2-0. Nebraska volleyball also got a win that night. And I believe there's some good news across country as well. It's a good weekend to be a Husker, is my point. Morning, Pierson-El, how's it going on this Monday?
Victory Monday, baby. Victory Monday. You'd rather be on this side of the coin than the other.
Yeah, there's certainly a few teams. We're going to travel across the U.S. and talk about some of those teams that are on that unfortunate side of the coin. Some more scary than others. I mean, this was a week 2, and we'll get into it, that felt like you never want to call it a sleeper weekend, but you only had 2 ranked matchups. Compared to week 1, you're like, this one might be pretty obvious, right? If you're putting parlays together, a lot of those games seem like they're going to be clear winners. Was not the case at all. This was a wild week 2. And we have to remind ourselves that these are 18, 19-year-old kids. And it shows up in big ways more than it does in the NFL, which we are going to talk a little bit about Jets, 49ers as well. That team, about 10 minutes here, they'll be kicking off. 7:15 start for them. But good morning, Pierson-El. Just give me your thoughts overall, what it means for Nebraska, not only to beat a rival in Colorado, but to be 2-0 for the first time since 2019, I believe, when they beat South Alabama in that first game.
Things are trending, better and up. Colorado was a talented roster, so not to take anything, away from them or whatnot. But this team has a lot of grit. This team has a lot of experience. So I mean, you figured, we would be at this point. But I mean, it's an important, it's going down the checklist. It's knocking things off. It's not even necessarily about drinking the Kool-Aid or anything like that, but just understanding, what Rule has done and what he said he was going to do. And he has guys, offense, defense, special teams was a little lacking this week, but he has the team humming. They're a well-oiled unit early on. And it's the cohesiveness and everything like that is only going to come together. I mean, you got a freshman guy at the helm of it, and he's looking, like he's been a 2-3 year starter on this level. So I mean, he's putting guys in the right position, and things, should get better. More games, more involved. This team playing together more. So I mean, it's important that you snap off and beat a very talented Colorado team. But that was only a piece on the checklist. We expected to be here. It wasn't trying to hope to be here.
Yeah, and there's a few things, like obviously you want to clean some things up. You can talk about the second half, but we just had Tom Chattel in the last hour, and I couldn't agree more. Like, we won the damn game, right? That's by end all be all. Win the game. I don't care if we cover the spread. I don't care if it's a thrill to the end. You win the game. You figure out a way to get it done. And you got it done pretty comfortably. I understand they got 10 points in the second half. There were some calls we can complain about the refs, but it was good to the point where it didn't matter. Even if you disagreed with a lot of those calls in the second half, Nebraska played well enough in the first half. So all that stuff was out the door. It didn't matter what was going on. Even if you felt like you got screwed on some of those quote unquote phantom calls, they did enough early on to shut the door in Colorado's face. And I got to shout out this. Having Bud Crawford lead the guys out of the tunnel, finally we get that guy involved in the program. The best pound-for-pound fighter. He represents Nebraska like nobody else. It was good to see us acknowledge what a gem of an athlete we have here in Nebraska and Terrence Bud Crawford. What'd you think about him leading the guys out of the tunnel?
I mean, I know Bud personally, and, he's one of my favorite athletes. He's different. I've seen things, firsthand on some stuff. He is the most competitive person I know. I can say that. He don't care, if you opening a door, he gonna try and beat you with it.
I don't think you go get that record if you're not competitive. Like, it's clear he knows how to get the best out of himself.
I mean, and it's details with him. Nobody's going to outwork him. He's been through some things, he's been shot. He's been overlooked and everything like that constantly. Things have been stated against him. He was against the odds, and no matter how you want to put it, he's a pound for pound best for a reason. So the fact that, he can give some type of knowledge and give some type of insight, not everybody can have that access to that caliber, of an athlete who is the best, in this sport. So for him to, share his words and, interact and be with them, that hopefully, those words, stick around, and, what was said to those, rings in their heads, throughout the year and throughout their life.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I remember, you don't have to go too far back, where he was boxing Errol Spence and he was still getting disrespect. It blew my mind the way people were talking about Crawford, about how he might not be the favorite in this. And it's like, what does this guy have to do to show the world that this is the best pound for pound fighter? And he did prove that. And then he won his next, I can't remember the name of the next match he had, but he also won in that one as well. Like, this guy, all he does is win. And I thought it was important. I mean, maybe I'm overlooking this, but having him talk to the team, you heard Matt Rule talking about in the press conference today, that's a big deal because he's got a lot of respect. What do you make of that? Not only just letting him lead you out the tunnel, but Matt Rule gave him the floor to go ahead and talk to the team.
I mean, he's the best of the best. He is the best. When you look, he is the face of boxing, regardless of what people want to say and everything like that. People don't want to get in the ring with him, and that's for a reason. His dedication, his preparation, leading up to stuff and everything like that. He is self-made. He's from Omaha. He's from the North O, to where they have whatever type of reputation you want to put on him and everything like that, and he's made it to be the pound for pound best in the world. So whatever it is, he can relate to them, socially, economically, motivationally. So he's been in their seats. He's come from some of those type of places, and it just hits different when it's not technically your coaches every day saying the same thing, and whatnot. So for him to go in there and any type of words of encouragement or words of wisdom and everything like that, it definitely gets you motivated, because I mean he could be doing 10 other things of what he wanted to do, but he wanted to give back to the community. He wanted to give back to those kids and everything like that. So I mean, it's awesome, and not a lot of people can say that they have had those type of conversations or been in a room with him to get that level of acknowledgement and words of affirmation from a person like that.
And the final thing on Crawford that I want to mention, because he definitely deserves his flowers, doesn't get talked about enough, but he is starting to finally get a lot of that recognition. Why'd this take so long? It feels like he was always a phone call away.
Well, I know Bud has been to games before. I remember a few times when we were there. I don't know about walking. I don't think he walked us out, but he was around the facility and everything like that. Now, necessarily why it took so long, politics. It is what it is. Having somebody, reach out, to him. That, I mean, who from the university can do that and does that? The right channels of what to go through. Like, that's not an easy thing, to get done. Or both sides, might have not been, open for it. Again, he's been training for world title fights. He's been moving up. So his last 3 fights, have been a testament to his legacy. Now, if he was off training and not in the state, that probably doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. But luckily, it's after a fight, it's downtime. It kind of was the right time, right situation, and things got done.
Yep, and to give the universities credit, they did get him in there, even though, in my opinion, maybe could have done it earlier. Maybe there was some schedule conflicts, but what a game to bring him out there and represent. I got to ask you this. We're going to really dive into this Colorado game, and then we'll talk about some of the bad. But let's just talk about some of the good first, because there was plenty of good, especially in that entire first half. Did it feel like Colorado just wasn't ready? Like, I know they were prepping. Looks like they had some garage speakers at their practice field trying to get ready for the noise. Watching those videos is obvious, like, okay, you're not going to replicate what the stadium's like. The first drive with Colorado, I mean, it just kind of weird scripted plays too, like a couple of screen passes, both bad throws. Nebraska's defense just immediately collapses the pocket. Did it feel like Colorado just wasn't ready for the atmosphere?
I think Colorado just got hit in the mouth. They got punched. And we've seen time and time again on film, what that can do to them. Time and time they've pulled some things off or whatnot. They got hit in the mouth, and then, the crowd, how everything was going or whatnot, what we were doing, it wasn't just their offense wasn't clicking, their defense wasn't clicking. So, I mean, early on, you got hit, your offense gave up a touchdown, and early on, your defense gave up a touchdown. Then, not too much longer, your offense gave up a touchdown. Like, it felt like, just a snowball effect. Like, once things started piling on, there was no letting off the gas, and it just nothing. They really never got comfortable, which is good for us. I mean, they were sending, they were getting home with 3 or 4 guys on the line, and that's what you needed. And then you throw in the atmosphere of how hectic and how magical of that night was. I mean, it's a lot to handle. It's a lot to kind of weather the storm, and that storm was just too big.
Yeah, especially when you're only rushing 3 or 4 and you get 6 sacks out of it. I mean, there was times obviously we dialed up. It wasn't like last week against UTEP where there was 0 blitzes, but we still barely really dialed anything up. We trusted the guys up front, and you get 6 sacks out of it. Talk about being punched in the mouth. This stat is jarring if you're a Colorado fan, and I do want to talk about Nebraska being ranked AP poll 23. I'm going to play devil's advocate for the sake of it against Nebraska, but I think this game's more telling about Colorado than it is Nebraska. I think Nebraska's clearly improved. It feels like Colorado's kind of where they were last season. And this stat right here, you heard Shedeur kind of be critical of his offensive line and them not running the ball, but they did try to run the ball. Now, they didn't try it a lot, but 22 attempts trying to rush the ball for Colorado, 0.7 average. Total yards gained on the rush, 61. They lost 45 yards on rushing plays. I mean, that is just jarring. And if you want to go to Nebraska's side for rushing attempts, they rushed the ball 35 times, got about 4.3 per carry, a couple touchdowns out of it for a total of 160 yards gained, only lost 11 yards. But I guess Shedeur being critical of like, do you feel like got to run the ball? This is what I mean. This is going to be a problem for Colorado all year long. Now, there's certainly going to be easier defenses to go against than Nebraska, but 61 yards gained, but you're giving up 45. I mean, they were getting hit behind the line of scrimmage just about every single time they tried to run the ball. I was expecting Nebraska's defense to show out. Were you expecting it to that level, though?
I didn't necessarily expect that. Not to say, that's a bad thing or anything like that. But I mean, outside of, Hunter, I mean, I think he had 10 catches for 110 yards. Outside of that, I mean, that was the only bright spot. As far as that, the defense shut an explosive offense from what we know down. They gave them hell. I mean, that's what it is. I hoped for something like that to happen. I hope for, to see that. For them to take the next step and everything like that. This early on in the season, I thought Colorado would be a little bit more explosive for them at least to put up, a few touchdowns. But now that, okay, now you're capable of shutting down that type of offense and whatnot, that gives me even better hope for, later down the line for the Ohio States, the Penn States, the Oregons, that gives me a better, expectation and standard to uphold against. And again, I mean, the offense wasn't making the defense tired at all. The offense did their part, which, helped with things. But, it raised the bar, honestly. It kind of, how your glasses are kind of foggy and you kind of like rub them and it's like, oh, no, I'm seeing it clearly. Like, that's kind of what it was. It's kind of been in our faces, the whole time. But other things kind of fog that picture up now, but you kind of see it. As long as the offense can take care of business, the Nebraska defense, the Nebraska team as a whole is going to be, someone to be dealt with. That's not going to be, an easy game for anybody, as long as both sides take care of business.
Yeah, and you look at, everybody who registered tackles for loss on the defense, what gives you hope is this thing was so spread out. There's some guys that stand out. John Bullock, I don't think it's talked about enough for how excellent he was. I mean, he was, I believe, 5 tackles total, a few of them tackles for loss. Nash, he had the one sack for 11 yards.
The big 4th and 1. I mean, that changed the game. That's early. Like, if I had to pick 3 plays that that solidified, like that was that one. That was an identity thing. That was okay. We make a stand here, and that only fueled what brought the rest of the night.
Were you surprised Colorado went for that? Because maybe I'm biased, but I was, I was out there watching the game on TV, I couldn't believe they wanted to try that, knowing what they were already struggling. We just talked about 65 yards a game, but you lost 45. It felt like there was a good chance it doesn't work.
At the end of the day, I know I wasn't surprised because I think they knew coming into this game that it wasn't going to be easy.
Yeah.
So with a situation like that early, you kind of got to establish some confidence. Say they get that, their confidence, they might have started, moving or getting in their rhythm. That could have led to, that type of play. Your coach having the faith in you in a 4th and 1 in a hostile environment, to make that happen. That goes differently, if your coach doesn't believe that, just, oh no, we'll take what it is and kick it. So I wasn't surprised at that. I think, from them trying to get their confidence and get into a rhythm, with as early as the game was, trying to make something happen, I wasn't surprised by that at all, regardless of how their offensive line was moving. Now, I would have done something with a motion coming back across or, a rollout with Shador to where if it doesn't go, he can get him himself. But no, I wasn't surprised with them actually attempting that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm more surprised by the fact that the play they chose.
Yeah,
it's like you're running right to the teeth.
Yeah, that the play call on that one probably wasn't. If you're gonna, let's be realistic, like unless something drastically changes on Colorado's offensive line, they're gonna be the common air raid. They're gonna pass 60 to 80 times a game. You're gonna have to outscore people to win and everything like that. If that's what you're gonna do, you have to get creative with getting various your weapons in space and opportunities to make plays.
And if you're Colorado, there's a little bit of panic in the air because which conference got really good at stopping the air raid simply by the fact that they had to because they got to a point where it was destroying them is the Big 12. That air raid is going to be
but I wouldn't even say that. They understand how to play defense to get it against it in a better way. But really, the Big 12, outside of probably Utah there now, it's just, it's run and shoot. That you see your 35, 40 plus games and everything like that. You see what they did against TCU last year. That's their type of style that they can play. So
TCU didn't go bowling. TCU was a big kind of like, again, we'll talk about it where I love that Nebraska's ranked. I think they do belong. But I am surprised this was a game that turned a lot of people's eyes around. Maybe because that defense looks so good. So there's some fair argument. But yeah, we'll see here. Colorado, their schedule is going to be pretty brutal coming up here. Colorado State, Baylor, UCF, and then they got 14 Kansas State. That's going to be another game where they're probably going to get punched in the mouth. Arizona, Cincinnati. I don't know if they go bowling this year. If they don't figure out that offensive line, it's going to be another long year for Colorado.
That ain't my concern. We done with them. So hopefully, you want them to win more games because that will make our win look right. Better. So, the best wishes to them and whatnot. But, you and I this week, like to each his own, we gave them L, have a safe flight back to Boulder.
Yeah, and it's a good thing we gave him that L because who knows the next time we get to play Colorado.
Yeah.
I got to ask, is Tommy Hill, has he fully arrived? We knew he was good. We knew he got NFL caliber, but we haven't seen a pick six like that. Just a huge play at a crucial moment. And you could argue not crucial, but definitely a big momentum where just a quick, easy pick six runs it in, and you just feel the momentum shift. The crowd really gets into it. What are we expecting from Tommy Hill going forward? It feels like he's arrived.
He's going to be a staple. He was following Hunter all night. He wasn't just playing one side. Sometimes, certain things, they would have him playing, but he would follow him. So I definitely think he has great film out there. They showed his versatility of what he can do last year with things and whatnot. So as long as he continues to put, solid film and everything out there and whatnot, they're going to put him in the right position, So you still have challenges coming up. The season's not over. Nobody's not necessarily arrived. We can worry about that, after it. But he's a damn good player. I will say that. He's a damn good player. And people are definitely, he's one of the pieces when they come out and break down the defense. They're okay, fine 6. We'll make sure let us make sure, and let us find him and let us know where he's at, and kind of keep an eye out on that. That's for sure.
And Matt Rule stressed this a lot. He's like, I'm not taking anything away from Colorado's weapons, but it's like, I'm not super worried about them because I know we got a guys too. And one of those guys being Tommy Hill. Does he got first rounder written on him? I know it's early, but
there's a lot of things that necessarily, go into that. Does he have the size? Yes. Does he have the ball skills? Yes. Does he have the film to show versatility and everything like that? Yes. But, there's other things that are out of his control, out of my control, that necessarily goes along, that goes in that. But does he have that type of, playing ability and everything like that? Yes. Can you see, Cam Taylor-Britt type of player in that with him? Yes, absolutely. And Cam went second round. So, I mean, he's knocking on the door right then and there. Continue to have, a great season. The numbers match up. And then, outside of that, you handle your business and do what you're supposed to. When you look up, your tape and everything like that will speak for itself.
Absolutely. And give me the unsung hero. Before we talk on the other side, we're going to travel across the land. And we'll talk about the second half as well, but I don't want to pour cold water on what was an overall great game from Nebraska. Who's the unsung hero? I threw out John Bullock. I just feel like he did get some praise eventually from Matt Rule, but he was certainly all over the field.
Ooh. I think what's the kid that got the targeting? If he wouldn't have had the targeting, you could throw him in there.
You can really just throw out any name on the defense because they all played phenomenal.
I would say, there's like 3 or 4 guys, up front, that can say that. I think it was all a collective. I'm gonna have to go with Bullock. I just what he was doing. He was moving around, flying sideline to sideline, active. You can put who got the block field goal.
I'd have to go back and double check on that one. Who actually got
I think it was Ty. I think that got it. If I'm not mistaken, like plays like that, that necessary. Yeah, that was big, but he was doing that all night. Nash was going off. So I mean, I'll go Bullock just because he reminds you of some of those talented, middle linebackers that have come through Nebraska. He's playing with that chip on his shoulder. He's playing like he's a hammer and not the nail. So I'll give it to him.
Yeah, another guy I got to mention, the kicker. That could have been a huge momentum swing if Colorado finds a way to bring that ball all the way back for a touchdown. Then all of a sudden it's 7-14. And I know he didn't. I don't think he actually got the tackle, but he still forced his way to shift his lane. Horn couldn't just have a clear shot.
Yeah,
and allowed the other guys to make the tackle. I mean, if he's not ready, all of a sudden 7-14, and Colorado feels a lot better about themselves. I still probably think Nebraska finds a way to pull out of it, but you just don't know when the momentum shifts that wildly. But they're able to get that, and then of course you have the blocked field goal, and then we're sitting there 28-0. At what point did you feel comfortable that this thing's over?
I didn't feel comfortable until it was. I didn't feel honestly once 17 broke, which was a BS call.
Yeah,
God, they're falling to the ground. Like it's football. Like the dude was not gonna make the play at all. Once he broke that end around for a touchdown, I was like, oh, that's it. That was the moment I was like, oh, like it's over. They called it back. I'm like, come on. But that was the play that I was like, yeah, like they're broke, like that, like they're just taking the beating.
Yeah, to me, just because of the past, I had to wait till the third quarter. Just simply, I was like, there was quite literally not enough time unless Nebraska completely forgets how to run the ball, and we saw that. What do you make the second half real quickly here? Because I do want to talk about some other college football games. I heard some people. I was surprised by how worried people were about that second half. It's worth talking about, but they did what they needed to do.
They did. Again, you had penalties called back. It was a little bit sloppy. Operation, wasn't as good or as, early on at what it was. You just have to clean things up. They were in the right place at the right time. Some people missed assignments that had, Raiola rushing out of the pocket or making something that happened. So that would be the only thing, is just, playing a full game of imposing your will. The running lanes necessarily wasn't, not to say that they weren't dominant, but, the gaps weren't, gaping open to where, our running backs was just, run, like you can drive a truck through there. That'll come. They just didn't play a clean second half, and the points that were scored came off the board because, simple mistakes. So, I can deal with that because you have the ability to find a way to make something happen. And even though those points did, come back, it wasn't a panic. It wasn't anything. They still, kept their foot on the gas. They found a way to win. They found to get out of there with the W, and honestly, sustain drives. As long as I think they got the ball at like 8 minutes, I don't think they gave it back to Colorado until like with 2 minutes left, if I'm not mistaken. So they were good and bad of a lot of stuff. It's just, I know you're tired. I know you're excited with things, but it's cleaning it up and having a polished full game.
Yeah, and I know I said we're gonna wrap it up here, but I forgot. I don't want to leave these guys out, and we're going long here because it's been a while since there's been so many positives to talk about and try to get through here. Usually we're on to the bad. I want to talk about other games, but the running back room, it kind of feels like that's settling here. There's still guys that are all kind of getting their roles in here, but it feels like Dante's that guy. I mean, we saw him run through the face of some Buffaloes. The Ramir Johnson looks like he's that solid receiving back. We saw him make that catch. What felt like just the tides have officially turned in terms of luck in Nebraska. Makes a phenomenal catch, stays with it. You can say some of it's luck, a lot of it is just the athleticism and awareness from Ramir Johnson. But Dante Dowdell rushes for 77 yards and 17 attempts. Ramir Johnson, 34 yards on 9 attempts. Ja'Cory Barney gets in there, 28 yards on just 2 attempts. And Ja'Cory Barney Jr., he's lethal. They dial up some unique plays for him to get him open, but how do you feel like this running back room settling? And do you think we got a guy yet for our lead carrier? Not necessarily that these other guys are going to be left out of the picture, but our RB1.
I think the clear RB1 is Dante. I think, with this game, he played a solid game. He did some things, that was he ran downhill a lot better. Not to say that he wasn't doing it that the last game. I think, Emmett does probably about the best with just, full head of steam. Dante has, got some stuff with him. But they're versatile. They got different ways of getting the ball in that room. That all of them are dynamic. So hopefully, we could continue to build off of that. And it's a long season. Running backs, you get you're getting hit every play. So the fact that you got multiple guys in there, hopefully that can sustain, everybody being healthy for the long ride.
Yeah, and Emmett Johnson, because you just got the one attempt, but I'm sure it's not going to be the last time we see him out there. It just feels like a loaded running back room. It's a good problem to have. Well, that being said, we're going to throw it to break here. We might dive into a little more of Husker football over the break. I'll see if we forgot to touch on anything, but I certainly want to go across college football in week 2 because it was a wild week. Just a lot of unexpected final scores. If you were betting, you probably had a miserable time all weekend because nothing was predictable. So don't go anywhere. We're going to keep it rolling here. Dump Punt Hour. We got the morning Pierson-El streaming in right here at 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
If you're looking for tickets to the Colorado game, 93.7 The Ticket has you covered. There are 3 different ways to win one of 4 pairs of tickets. 1, like our 93.7 The Ticket page on Facebook and share the post. 2, follow our 93.7 The Ticket account on Twitter and repost the announcement post. 3, come on down to 1040 O Street, buy a drink from the mill, and enter your name in the box. All drawings will be done at noon on Friday. Get entered now.
Still using that old, outdated office phone system? You need better. At Hamilton, we offer solutions for the modern office. Whether you have an office full of staff or your employees work remotely and are on the go, seamless call handling is important. Elevate your communication and connect seamlessly with clients and staff with Hamilton Business Phone Systems. Choose better and hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp than with some over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Sea-Doo dealership. Score up to $300 off or a free 2-year warranty on 2024 Sea-Doo Sparks and $500 off or a free 2-year warranty on all other brand new 2024 Sea-Doos. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of September. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of motorcycles and watercraft in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraskans are proud of their public schools. Hi, I'm Tim Royers. As a Nebraska Teacher of the Year, I traveled across the state and saw the value public schools bring to our communities every day. They're where our kids get the skills and opportunities they need to succeed. They're where families come together to enjoy a musical, cheer for our teams, talk with teachers, and build trusted relationships. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G356093 must trade.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
If you're looking for tickets to the Colorado game, 93.7 The Ticket has you covered. There are 3 different ways to win one of 4 pairs of tickets. 1, like our 93.7 The Ticket page on Facebook and share the post. 2, follow our 93.7 The Ticket account on Twitter and repost the announcement post. 3, come on down to 1040 O Street, buy a drink from the mill, and enter your name in the box. All drawings will be done at noon on Friday. Get entered now.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in to segment number 2 of the Don't Punt Hour with the host, as always, the former Husker wide receiver, special teams threat, DeMornay Pierson-El. And one thing I do want to shout out, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda continues to just be smart and efficient on punt returns. I know it feels like something you're like, well, you only average about 8 yards per attempt. We've talked about it before. If you can get to that 10, that's a sweet spot. You feel pretty good about that. He's had 0 muffed punts. He's been playing clean. And I wanted to continue to see that going forward because there's some other things with the special teams that you might be worried about. And that is the one thing I left off the table. And then we're going to talk about UNI and why we can't look ahead, directly pointing at some of these other college football games across the landscape. But DeMornay, just give me your thoughts on special teams for Nebraska and your worries, if any, there.
I mean, I would say our special team still did better than theirs, so that's a win.
Yeah, we did beat them there.
So again, the big return is just some laps, just some holes that you just gotta continue to get down. Somebody had a shot at Horn and they missed. You know what I'm saying? We've said it before going into this week. They're playmakers. You can't give them, opportunities to break missed tackles and continue. So that there, again, with returns, judgment on catching them and everything like that has been great. I'm not concerned necessarily about it, but because of did we get a block on punt as well?
We got a blocked field goal punt. You could say we kicked it.
Did they block our punt? I thought something happened. It was a flag, and we had to redo it or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember.
I'd have to go back and watch it. I had to watch the.
I think it was a blocked. They blocked or tipped a punt, and it was a flag on the play or something like that. If now that's shown, every team is going to be scheming something up to come after you with that. So you just kind of got to go back to the basics and hit your checklist, do your job with stuff. But overall through these 2 games, we've been the winner out of the 2 special teams, their special teams unit as a whole and our special teams unit as a whole. If you win, if you're winning, 2 out of the 3, 2 out of the 3 sides of the ball, or 1 of the 3, that's typically, you're winning a game. Yeah. As of right now, these first 2 games, we've been winning all 3. So just continue to build and be more consistent. That's the only thing, I would be harping on. I wouldn't say I'm satisfied, but it's, okay, we're still moving in the right direction.
That's exactly where I'm at. I'm not going to panic because it feels like there's certain areas where we've definitely improved. Still some areas you want to tighten up.
For sure.
Those first 2 games of the season, right? So there's still plenty of time left.
Exactly.
You got UNI. And I got to mention this. I love our ticket listeners. I was listening to the postgame. We had a couple phone calls asking about Illinois already. You can't do that. Stop it. Talk about UNI because we're going to talk about this Notre Dame game. Because this isn't the first. I think people soon forget. I think it was 2022, maybe in 21. Notre Dame, when they're ranked, they also lost to Marshall. All right. So these things happen because these are 18, 19, 20, 21. Occasionally you get your Cam Wards, your fully, whatever you want to call it, a full adult there where they're just aware of the situation and understand that part of the game. But you get a lot of variance, especially in the era of NIL, right? There's so many outside distractions that this stuff feels like it might happen even more. So do not look past UNI, because if they get a glimmer of hope, they start feeling good about themselves, they're not going to play scared. And those teams can be in a hell of a lot of trouble. We're going to talk about it. Notre Dame, number 5 Notre Dame at that. They lost to the Northern Illinois Huskies. We know them all too well because they did the same thing to us. We paid them a bunch of money. They came down here and whooped our butt. They did the same thing to Notre Dame. Got $1.4 million for beating the number 5 team in the country. Just give me your thoughts on that game. It was jarring to watch.
That university, they're a good team. They recruit good. They're not just they're not just a team we're gonna beat up. Like, no, they're gonna come to play. So if that's one of them games where and I personally was on that team, so I remember that game. We were tripping. I think we threw a screen. One of their corners picked it off for 98 yards. I was supposed to walk in the end zone. I didn't. I was pissed.
Yeah.
And I don't think Stan played that game or got hurt that game or something like that. But again, they put their pads on just like everybody else. Just because they're a smaller school, just because you might not know them, you might not see them, you have to respect people. You got to respect your opponent, and I think you see that often throughout college football, not just that specifically weekend, but the right weekend will have any team handing you a loss. The first and second week of last week, we didn't expect Florida State to lose in the fashion that they did. So again, are you more talented to say than a team? Like, yeah, you should. But, if you are messing up, if your preparation, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do in a game, time is going to run out. And I mean, that's just what was happening with Notre Dame. They weren't playing a good game at all.
No, it was. What impressed me about it the most was this was a defensive win.
Yeah.
This wasn't them just lighting up the scoreboard. No. I mean, they stopped you. This wasn't them having a good night where things were just everything was clicking on offense. No, it was gritty. It was tough. They wanted it more. And it shows up in the stats. What blows my mind the most about this, when you go to the rushing attempts, Colorado, 28 attempts. They weren't doing bad, 4.4 yards per carry. But Northern Illinois, 45 attempts rushing the ball. They get 4.2, but they continue to run the ball and just shove it down your throat. And for whatever reason, I don't get it with Notre Dame. Their passing game was 20 for 33, but 4.9 yards per attempt. Northern Illinois was just keeping everybody in front, daring them to take the deep ball. And Notre Dame wasn't satisfied with taking the checkdowns. They just wanted to keep going for the big shots, and it hurt them. It blew my mind. Notre Dame's, I'll say it, like Northern Illinois is playing Iowa-esque on defense. Like, you're going to have to beat us with these short throws and be patient. Notre Dame didn't want to be patient.
At the end of the day, it's like the defense is taking away something. They identified, okay, we're not going to get beat down the field necessarily. Even if you play what's in front of you, you move the ball, your offense gets in rhythm. You tire people out and whatnot. You get your confidence and everything like that. But if you're not hitting that, NIU irritated Notre Dame. They frustrated. You getting off your game. The quarterback is hearing stuff and everything like that. Coaches yelling or getting in kids' faces, kids arguing and everything. That plays a hand in NIU, being successful because y'all are not firing on all cylinders, and you feel like you should because you're Notre Dame and they are who they are. Football is football. Y'all didn't execute. Y'all didn't realize, change the game plan to, adapt to what they were given and whatnot. And by the time you did or try to change it up, it's too late and they handed you an L.
Yeah, and we got a few more games. Just for everybody aware, we're going to skip over this break. There's too much college football to talk about. And of course, the NFL. We'll keep an eye on that. I haven't checked the scores yet, but you got the New York Jets.
7-3 Jets.
7-3 Jets. So Aaron Rodgers and the Jets leading the San Francisco 49ers. We'll give you a final score update. We'll give you a few as the night rolls on in case you're not able to have a TV in front of you if that's one of your teams playing. Let's talk about Oregon. Number 9, Oregon. That was the thriller. They barely escaped the clutches of Boise State at home at that. Oregon's got the home crowd advantage.
I'm telling you, same thing with the quarterback. The only difference from Gabriel and Florida State's quarterback is that they're winning right now. he's consistent enough to for them to get these 2 wins. But Oregon is going to be in some trouble when they come across, a very good opponent or somebody that can keep up and score with them. But Boise isn't somebody that, you can push over either. But, you hit that Big Ten stage, which they don't even have, majority of the guys. But we're going to see if they run into Iowa and see how things are. Like I'm not impressed by Oregon. Oregon doesn't scare me. Oregon doesn't, they're not the Oregon that they were last year.
Yeah, Oregon's getting less scary by the week. It feels like. I don't like Dylan Gabriel. Like you look at his stats and it's like, man, it's good completion ratings. And then you look at the yards, and it's very much like what Shador was this week. It's like, oh, you look at it, pretty good stats, and then you break down the actual yardage and the QBR rating, and it's like kind of empty stats.
You're scratching your head like, I guess you're winning, but I guess you did a good game. Like that's not good. 2 weeks in and you're in that offense, and we've already seen what your coach can do with getting a veteran quarterback, and he went first round.
Yeah.
He literally copied and pasted the same type of thing. And like I said, I'm not different skill sets, different guy. I'm not sold on Oregon. I'm really not.
Me neither. Like I said, 2 weeks in a row. It's like, unless they have some dramatic improvements, unless they kind of figure out, it's weird, right? Because it feels like their offense, they're getting yardage, but they're not executing. It's like just because you got positive yards on that play doesn't mean you made the right decision. And it feels like that's happening a lot for Oregon, in that game. And their defense is just bleeding. I mean, they're not able to get big time stops. They're kind of getting bludgeoned through the run still. They got some serious problems.
When you go against an elite offense that is going to shred you, and you're going to have a play caller on your team that can do the exact thing or keep you in a fight, you doing that dinking and checking down, or 2 yards here, 3 yards here, something just to you doing that, and you having a hard time scoring. All you need, all the opposing team needs to do is stop you twice, and their offense continues to score, and that's the ball game. Stop you one time, or pick six or something like that. Like I said, I'm not. I'm concerned for Oregon. They might have a cake schedule. It might be fool's gold when it comes time for you to actually show up. You might end up like some of these Pac-12 teams that we've seen in the past against some of these other powerhouses or stronger teams that just get blown out of the water.
Yeah, and I don't even want to make the comparison, but there was a roster at one point in Nebraska that it felt like fool's gold, right? It's like the record looks good. You start playing some of those better teams, things start falling apart here. You mentioned Iowa. Shout out to the Nebraska production team at the stadium who made sure everybody got a good look at that walk-off field goal, very Iowa-esque. Iowa State says, give me that AP top 25 ranking. We'll shoot up to 21. We'll kick you, or excuse me. Yep, yeah, 21 ranked now in the AP poll at their latest ranking. They lose to Iowa State at Kinnick Stadium, 20-19 on a walk-off field goal. Everybody was kind of enamored by Iowa, like maybe they have an offense. Wasn't good enough to get enough against Iowa State. What do you make of Iowa falling to their rivals at home?
Are we surprised? I mean, that's a rival game. For the past couple of years, it's been going back and forth. Iowa has its problems on offense. We've never questioned the defense or anything like that. It's been their quarterback play. It's been play calling. It's been, making sure your offensive weapons get like that's their kryptonite. They're just you never know what you're gonna get on the offensive side of them. So I mean, we'll see how their season goes or whatnot. But I mean, the defense can't technically protect you, every time. Yep,
and one more team I got to throw. Actually, two more. I don't want to spend time on this team, but Clemson, I can't make a read. They looked awesome. They blew out Appalachian State.
They played Georgia. Like let's stop that. Like Clemson is I think Coach has them prepared. Coach has good players there and everything like that. Some of those powerhouses that you might go up against, I think that, he just might not have better kids than they do. So you can say whatever you want about Clemson. They still won 9 games last year. So I'm not expecting them to fall completely off. They played Georgia. What they did to Clemson, Georgia will probably do just about to anybody except for Alabama in the SEC championship game. That is it. That's just what it is.
And to be fair, I do love Dabo Swinney a lot. I think that program's always going to be in good hands until they make the wrong decision and get rid of him. I think that is the wrong move. You trust that guy. I think his track record proves it. It's not really been that long since they were national champions. So you give him time to continue and iron it out. And this kind of goes back to what we as media, and when I say we, I mean me, the definitive statements are just a no-go. I mean, it happens every year. You get to week 2. We have the preseason definitive statements of what we think. Week 1 happens. Okay, I was totally wrong on this. I was totally right on this. We're back to definitive statements. Week 2 rolls around, and then we're all scratching our heads again. This is a game of 18, 19, 20-year-olds with more distractions than ever. So I think Clemson's going to be all right. Final team I want to talk about. I'm surprised they're not ranked. I understand they played Florida A&M. Miami just continues to light up anybody who dares plays them. We talked about Cam Ward. He might be a Heisman candidate. They lit up. I know. I get it. I don't care if it's Florida A&M. We just talked about Northern Illinois. 56-9. Was not close.
What they did to Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like they're capable of that. I understand they played, FAMU, but you still have to respect it. They still went out there and balled. People better watch out for them because they can be dangerous.
I think so too, and I'll never root for Miami, but I can say definitively college football is better when Nebraska's back.
They're going to be a problem.
Yes.
They look strong early on. If they continue and build off of that, they could do what Florida State did last year in the ACC. They can go undefeated. Honestly.
Yeah.
So that be careful and watch out for them.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to try to get away from the definitive statements here, but they've shown a lot in just 2 weeks. That first game, obviously, it was brutal. I mean, they were walking out telling the Florida recruits, don't go here, after they just beat the brakes off of the Gators, and then they continue it. They don't, overlook their opponent. They continue on their track of dominance. They look disciplined right now, and that goes a long way. So Miami, keep an eye on them on the rest of the season because they just look pretty dominant right now. That's going to wrap it up for us. Good morning, Pierson-El. Appreciate the time as always. Don't go anywhere, though. Speed and Power up next with Megan Walker. And as usual, she'll have a guest with her as well. That's going to wrap it up. We'll keep Ticket Weeknights rolling. We'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.